Hello, crafty friends. I'm Lien from Studio Kato, and I'm so glad you're joining me again today. It's Tuesday, so that means I am back with another project for Reverse Confetti, and this time, while I am showing you that I made everything from scratch, part of this footage was actually part of a video from a couple of weeks ago, so I used up some scraps in this video. I'm just showing you how to make them, but because I used up scraps, this card didn't take me long to make at all. Now, this is what was featured in a previous video as well. This is an ink smushing technique with Distress Oxide inks, and Distress Oxide inks layer really well on top of each other. So you get really nice details in your ink smushing, you get really nice effects, so I really highly recommend these inks for that. And I made this onto scraps of Canson Mauval 300 GSM watercolor cardstock, and I did this in pinks and in oranges as well. And then I die cut a bunch of flowers from these. And a couple of those I used in previous projects, and now I'm using them all up in an edge-to-edge shaker card. I love using die cuts for that because that gives it a little bit more of a personal touch. But of course, I will also add some glitter because why not? Add some sparkle when you can. Now, I was crafting a lot that day, so my ink blending mat is already a little bit filthy, but I am just using the Hello die from the Hello Daisy cover panel by Reverse Confetti, and I cut that out of a light teal cardstock, and I wanted to create an ombre effect on that, so I'm blending on some Distress Oxide inks. I am using the Peacock feathers here, and then moving on to chipped Sapphire. And that will give me a gorgeous blue ombre. I love doing this for big word dies because it gives a really fun touch to your sentiments. And if they're large enough to do so, you can get a really nice effect on those. It's just a little bit different, and it gives your sentiment a little bit more depth as well. Now, this word die from the Hello Daisy cover panel also comes with a shadow layer, and I cut that 4 times out of thick white cardstock and once from gold holographic cardstock, which is gorgeous. I have had this in my stash for ages, and I don't really like using a ton of it because I think it takes over in my project. So I like using it for shadow layers, so just a little bit peeks through. Now, behind that blue ombre die cut, I also layered 4 pieces of thick white cardstock, so this sentiment is quite dimensional and I love that. I saved a couple of the flowers too, and I am pressing those with a jewel picker into some craft foam to give them some dimension. So that just presses the middle down and the petals up, and then I can glue them onto my word die where they should go. There's some spaces there to glue some of those flowers on. And then it's time to assemble my gorgeous little shaker. I love edge-to-edge shakers. They are so much easier to make than regular shaker cards. So I just cut a piece of acetate. It's hard to see there. It's just some plastic packaging that I have left over from stamp sets and stuff like that. And I also cut an A2 sized panel, but then dry embossed it with the all lined up cover panel die by Reverse Confetti. I'm putting double-sided adhesive on the 2 long sides and folding over the acetate on top of that, so those sides are already sealed. Then I can add my adhesive to the shorter sides and seal one more edge, leaving the backing on the other edge while I fill up my shaker card. Now, one thing to note when you're working with die cuts like this for a shaker card, you want them all to face pretty side up, of course. So this does take a little bit longer to fill, but overall this card didn't take me more than 30 minutes to make, I think. So this was worth the extra effort, just making sure all the die cuts are lined up properly, or rather facing up the right way. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but these flowers are also part of the Reverse Confetti Hello Daisy cover panel die. So these come with a die set and they just cut individual flowers. They are really fun flowers. I love simple flowers like this. And then I can add in my glitter. I'm adding some silver glitter and some pink, more chunky glitter as well. I'm not adding too much though. I never like my shakers to be too full. I'm just sealing that final edge and then I'm playing around with it because that's what you do with shakers. You play around with them until you drive yourself crazy with it. I'm adding a lot of double-sided adhesive to the back of it. I like working with double-sided adhesive for these shaker cards because there is some acetate showing on the edges that I normally put adhesive. And this is the easiest way to adhere acetate to paper, just double-sided adhesive instead of liquid glue. Now I am adding liquid glue to the Hello word die, but I'm using glossy accents for that, and that is the strongest adhesive I know of, but it is glossy, so you don't want it squirting out the sides. You want to be a little bit careful about how much you add to these die cuts if you're adding them to acetate. But other than that, this is the best glue to adhere things to acetate or any glossy surface. Now to the center of the little flowers on top of my Hello die cut, I am adding some silver gems. I'm adding those with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue and a jewel picker to make my life a little bit easier. And that finishes up my lovely shaker card. Now I am making a matching envelope like I always do. And you see me mess around a little bit with this word die. I die cut the Hello Shadow Layer die from the Hello Daisy cover panel from craft foam. And I am adding that to the inside of my Misti with purple tape, which wasn't the best decision. I should have just used temporary adhesive, an adhesive roller. That would have been a lot easier, but this worked out fine. It's just that little spot of blue where there shouldn't be any. That's because there was blue on the tape. Now I'm stamping those with the same Distress Oxide inks I used for that ombre sentiment that I made. And I'm just stamping those on with my Misti. It doesn't stamp perfectly, but I really like that look actually. So that's what you get when you stamp with foam. It's really fun, and I really love doing it on my envelopes when I just used die cuts on my card. I absolutely love making edge-to-edge shaker cards. They are so easy, and they use up some of that leftover plastic that we have from all those stamp sets we buy. I hope you liked the card and I hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. Now, if you like shaker cards and you want to see more of my shaker cards, you can head on over to my channel page and click on the playlists. I have a bunch of playlists organized for you guys, and one of them is just for shaker cards. So I hope you go take a look at those. And while you're there, you can also subscribe to my channel, of course. If you want to see more of my videos, you can also click that bell button below to get notified every time I upload. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.